What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Clutch. March is Women's History Month, and I thought, what better way to celebrate this month and celebrate women in our industry than interviewing a different woman in our industry every week. Tonight, I have the very amazing pleasure of bringing on Miss Brittney Gobble.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking your time out tonight. You've been a busy lady lately.
I know. I'm like, people are going to be sick of my face at this point. I'm sick of my face.
That's part of life. I don't think you can look in the mirror and be like, you see it every day and you're, oh, I did this. Because even my wife does it. I'm like, she'll do her makeup and she'll get all happy. And then she's like, I don't like the way I look. I want to redo it.
Yes,
you just spent an hour and a half doing it, but that's the fun of it. That's the fun.
Yeah, very true. Of course, my poor husband will be like, now I'll put makeup on, and he'll be, oh, there's my beautiful wife, and I'm like, what does that mean? Like the rest of the time, you know? But that tells you how often I like to get dolled up.
There ain't nothing. I mean, you live on a farm. There's nothing wrong with that. Like when we get you dolled up, that's a nice thing. It means Johnny knows there's something that he needs to pay attention to, right? Like that's his warning.
I guess. Although I don't know if it benefits him because I'm on an interview. It's not like we're going to dinner or anything.
So you are I guess the best way of saying it is multifaceted woman. Lots of talent in many different aspects of life. I wanted to jump into those a little bit before we jumped into the reptiles and then get into reptiles, if you're okay with that.
Sounds good to me.
So we keep saying farm. I know you have like your little acre of truffle farm, right? Or is it bigger than an acre?
All right. So we actually have 15 acres on our home property, but only about a quarter acre or so here is truffles, planted for truffles. The rest is kind of divided up. So, thanks, honey. The rest is kind of divided up. So we have like the cows and the goats and the chickens and dogs and all that. And then a little bit farther up into the mountains, we have an additional 5 acres, and that's where we planted the Truffier, or the truffle farm, which is where we grow the French Périgord black truffles.
Okay. And then you brought in dogs, right? Dogs or pigs?
Okay, no. Okay, so you can't.
I'm really confused about all this, and I told you I had to take notes, and it's like, throw it.
Okay, so real quick, a little background on the truffles, because a lot of people are like, wait, what do you mean they grow on trees, or that kind of thing. The truffles, they're not chocolate. They are actually a mushroom, and they grow on the roots of the trees. They're spores, and you dig them up. Usually they're about 6 to 8 inches under the ground. So we can't just like walk out there and find them like you would find a morel or something, another type of mushroom. So that kind of explains that. On our farm, we have oak and hazelnut for those that are interested. Those are the two that really, like, the spores really work well with. Now, you can hunt them with pigs and you can hunt them with dogs. You can actually only hunt them with female pigs because the female pigs are looking for that scent that it's very musky and it reminds them of the male pig, the boar. So they're actually kind of going after it almost like a mating thing, but they love to eat them. So you have to be faster than your pig, and you have to hope you're bigger than your pig, or else your pig's just going to eat them and run with you. Oh, Johnny.
I'm just saying, if he shows up in a dress tonight, I might not be able to keep myself composed.
Oh, please don't. Please don't encourage him. Anyways, yeah, so we brought in the Lagotto Romagnolo, which is actually the truffle dog. So if you've watched TV shows and seen the little curly poodle-looking dog, that is the Lagotto. And they were originally designed, they're a really ancient breed from like the 1500s, and they were designed for duck hunting. But then in Italy, the marshlands got drained, and so the dogs nearly died out because they didn't have a job until the farmers decided to start working them on their Truffiers, training their noses for the ground. And because they've done that for so many generations, I mean, I have 6-week-old puppies, and I can hide a piece of truffle and they will find it. I mean, at 6 weeks old, 0 training, that's how
Wow.
strong their drive is. It's pretty cool.
That's freaking amazing. It's
Yeah, although
almost
it was an
like
adventure.
smelling mom's milk or something right off the bat.
Oh yeah, they know what their job is. Now I brought them from Bulgaria, and it was kind of funny because like if you follow me, you know my life is really weird. And so when I brought you're laughing because you know it's true. Like I'm actually shocked when I read a story about some freak thing that happened to somebody, and I'm like, I really feel like that probably should have happened to me. Um, but yeah, so I went to pick him up at the Atlanta airport, and there was like no storms or anything, and I'm just sitting there waiting for customs and the wildlife and fisheries and all that to clear him. And all of a sudden, the Delta employees just come running through the building, and they're like, "Move, move, move! There's a tornado!" And they're like running us into the stairwell. And apparently, like a tornado was about to touch down, and it ended up being a few miles away. But I'm like, seriously, like I'm here to pick up a dog, and now I'm in the Delta tunnel with. They're like, "Stop! Don't grab your bags! Don't grab your baby's stroller! Just get in the staircase." So I messaged Johnny, and I'm like, "By the way, I might die. I love you." And he's like, "Okay, babe." I mean, he just doesn't know what to expect with me anymore. So you're not even surprised, are you?
I'm not. Like, I'm really. That's a great relationship between you two, though. Like the comedy between you two, and the way that you nonchalantly can say, "Hey, I love you. I might die. I'll see you later, hopefully."
Oh yeah, he's like, yeah, this is actually he's got that message more than once. So yeah.
So you're breeding the Lagotos, right? That's how you say it?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So the male and female, and then I actually kept 2 girls back from this litter, and I'm talking to a breeder in Bulgaria, the one I worked with before, and so we might be bringing in a new boy that can breed those girls in the next couple of years.
And then you also breed. I'm gonna destroy this name, and we've talked about these before, and I'm sorry because I love these things. Like my wife has been on me ever since she saw your photography over.
Okay, what is it?
The Lycoi?
Okay, yes, I don't breed them anymore, but I did. Yes, I did. Me and Johnny were the one that established the Lycoi as a breed, obviously with a lot of help. But yeah, that was kind of our pet project. We started with Sphinx, which are the naked cats. Then we did the Lycoi, and then we did the Savannahs, the F1s, which are the hybrid between the African serval and the domestic cat. Right. So then I kind of felt like, okay, I worked with a new gene and kind of got to prove it out. And I worked with some recessives, and then I got to work with a hybrid, breed where, even the chromosomes are different. So like, for instance, F1 male Savannahs are sterile because that's just, that's just the way it works because their chromosomes don't line up the right way. The females can breed, the males cannot for almost at least 4 generations, sometimes longer. But I was like, I need a new genetics project. I want something I can do that can let me play with genes. And that's how I ended up in the reptiles.
That's really cool. It's different because you've played in so many different genetics now. I think it really goes hand in hand with like what you do and what Johnny does as a veterinarian. So you're able to kind of feed off of each other. And I think that's pretty important.
Yeah, we both have been doing this. I mean, this is kind of, animals have been both of our passion. I mean, he did his first C-section on a guppy at 5. The mom didn't make it, but the babies did. And and he bred horses. I think he was around 8, and he was breeding rabbits. So he's had lots of breeding experience. First thing I bred was aquarium snails, and I was quite good at it. And I accidentally figured out that cat food speeds up their growth, and boy, you can pop them out fast. I had so many aquarium snails that my mom wouldn't go around the backside of the house, and eventually she's like, "Honey, this is not healthy." And like I said, then we did the cats, and then I did a little bit of the rodents. I actually imported fancy mice from England. I imported 33 mice, and it cost me, by the time I got the setup ready for them and everything, it cost me like $2,000 when it was all said and done. And the guy that brings them out at the airport says, "So are these snake food?" I'm thinking, dude, that's expensive snake food.
You would be surprised. At least now, like nowadays, oh my Lord, what I spend on rats. I need to actually start breeding my own again. But
Oh, I breed my own, but sometimes they just don't cooperate, and then I have to buy some, mouse hoppers or rats, and the prices kill you. Man.
I've watched them skyrocket over the last 2 years.
Oh yeah.
So the other thing there's a couple other things you do. You're an author. So what got you into writing before we talk about your new book?
Okay. Well, years ago I had the story idea and I thought it'd be fun, so I was writing it, but then I got too busy and I kind of just let it kind of fall to the side. And I was writing on a site called Wattpad, which is kind of like almost like a comic thing where you would like put up a chapter each week or whatever, and people follow for an update, so you get like followers. And I forgot about it. It's like 2013, and then I went back to look, and it had like 185,000 reads, and I was like, oh, maybe I should finish that. But again, just never had time. And then over the past couple of years, a lot of health issues going on, and my doctor's like, it'd be really good if you could like rest and like not do so much. That might help you. And so I was like, I gotta stay in bed more. So I needed a new hobby. And that's how I ended up writing, because so he actually saw that I published a book, and he's like, when did you have time to do that? And I was like, well, you said to rest. And he's like, that wasn't what I meant. But it's doing okay. Like, compared, for somebody that doesn't have a following as an author, it's doing pretty well. So I'm happy about that.
And then so the name you use obviously isn't your name.
I can't have my mother finding out.
What is it? Is it like a fictional love drama, or I haven't gone that far into it. So
all right, so it's what's called a paranormal romance. So it's a dragon shifter who's kind of like finding out what she is. She has no idea. And there's like the werewolves and all that, because I love cryptids. I love, what may exist, that kind of possibility, that kind of thing excites me. And so I wrote this story, but a very hot genre is where the female has multiple mates. It's called reverse harem. And so, yeah, she has several mates, and that's why I write under a pen name so my mom doesn't find out.
So I won't bring that.
So mom, hopefully mom's not watching
mom's
this.
in there, yeah. We won't put the name out there so she can't find it. But go hit Brittney up if you want to read her book.
It's okay. I don't think mom watches the reptile thing. She's terrified of reptiles. She's not a big animal person, so she's probably not watching this, I'm safe. But the name I picked was Sedona, simply because I love the city. I have traveled to a lot of places around the world, and one of the places that I left and I was homesick for was Sedona. And I don't know why, it just I got there and it felt like home. So I was like, I'm going to use that as the name. Plus, in all the books, Brittney is like a witch. Like, if you read the genre, like, Brittney is always the cheerleader that backstabs you or steals your boyfriend or casts a spell to like kill you or something. So I didn't kind of want to go with that. And I thought the last name Gobble.
I'm sorry.
And I thought the last name Gobble would put me in a different genre. So I picked a new name. Gobble could go two ways. It could go for a cookbook. Like, I could make like author cookbooks with the last name Gobble, or, a little more steamy than I planned to go.
That just threw me off. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, you don't know where to go with that.
No, yeah, I'm trying to keep it PG.
My bad.
It's okay. So, when did you get into photography initially?
All right, around 2010. So we had just started breeding the cats, and Johnny was always telling me how great of a photographer he was. And he had just got like a Canon DSLR, and I had a point and shoot. And so we would have like shootouts, and I'd be like, I can take just as good a photos with this point and shoot as you can with your real camera. And so one day he's like, just use my camera. So I did, and the photos sucked. Like I'm not even joking. It was bad, like bad. Like everything that could be wrong with the photo. And I tossed down his camera and I said, that's it. I'm never using it again. I'll stick to a point and shoot. And it took me about a year. And then I was like, okay, I'm one of those people that if I'm going to do something, I'm I guess OCD. I have to push myself to get better. Like, so I'd be editing these photos of these kittens and I'd be like, they're really dark. How could I make this brighter? Oh wait, maybe if I turned them toward the light, their faces would have been lit and not their butts, So I learned, I'm self-taught. So I learned little by little as I watched, how things went. And then it kind of just, grew from there. And reptiles has been a fun change. It got to the point with the cats where, every animal is a challenge because, you're going for a certain look, a certain pose. But I got into a point with the cats, I was able to nail my shots. For the most part, I knew what I needed to do to get them to do the pose I wanted. And 9 times out of 10, I could manage it with either patience or luck. But snakes are fun because now it's like I have to learn a whole new thing. You're learning body language. You're learning, it's great when they just want to sit there, but that doesn't make for a dynamic photo. It's like, oh, great, that's a pretty snake. But it's not like, oh, wow, look at how it's draped. And, so that's a fun challenge.
That's one of the things that I've enjoyed the most about you too, is I know I hit you up about it all the time. I was like, I can't wait till the day I could just like pick your mind in person about photos. The day's kind of here, but
hey, go for it. I get that. You'd be surprised. I get a lot of emails, asking for little tips and the black background with the shiny, plexiglass. I can't even count how many messages I have gotten over that. And then it's like I see all my Facebook, my like Instagram feed. They're like, see, and I'm like, yes, you did it. It's cool. I like that. I like helping people.
Did you start doing commissions around you like within the year, or how did you get kind of into that frame set, I guess?
Like, you mean like going
to Justin or going over and seeing Eric and shooting his animals?
So for me, I didn't really want my photography to be a business. That was my stress relief. If you've looked at a lot of my images, I take some of the classic, black or white, solid colors, but most of my images, I try to go for something whimsical, something you're not quite expecting to find, that animal doing, or an animal in that situation, maybe a newborn baby, but not a cat or a snake. So that's kind of my make-believe world. That's where I've dealt with depression over the years. So for me, this was my escape. I could make this whatever I imagined it to be, and then I could put it online and hopefully make other people smile, or, I'll get messages, can I use this as like my screensaver, and it's like, that's nice. You're making people happy when you see that. And I like that part of it. So I've done a few paid shoots. But my husband just tells everybody, he's like, I'm sorry, you can't afford her, because I have to have an interest, because it's like an art. I'm probably not going to take an animal if I've shot that same animal 100 times. Like I had a lot of Sphinx people that wanted me to photograph their Sphinx. And there was a few I did, and there was a lot I turned down. They had beautiful animals, nothing against their animals. But for me, that's something I've already done. And I want a new challenge. I want to work with it, experience something new. So we did Justin. I've done Aussie. I went to Iguana Land, High Park. He let me go last year, but it hadn't opened or anything. And I think some of the images are going to be like the little plaques, like the little informational things and stuff. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun, and I got to experience a lot of species that, there's no way I could keep them all. So it's a fun way to get to enjoy them. And of course, Justin just lets me drool over everything, as long as I promise not to spill anything. And so again, going back to the venomous, Eric had sent me a message asking about, hey, would I consider doing it? And like, yeah, I'd love that. I'd love a chance to shoot venomous. And that was a lot of fun, because, you know, I'm used to the snakes that I breed. I'm used to the behaviors. I know what's going to get you bit or when they're right. But that's a whole different level. So yeah, that was a lot of fun I mean, the sounds, like the hisses are just, I mean, are completely different. The size, you know, there was one, like his Gaboon Viper was so much bigger than I had expected it to be. And then he had, and I'm probably going to slaughter this, so I'm sorry, it's like squamous. They look like little dragons.
Yeah.
Okay, squams. Okay. Yeah, so he had those, and I don't know why, but every time those are my favorite. That's my favorite venomous. And I thought they were bigger. So I did not realize how tiny the full grown ones are. They're like little bitty snakes. So that was a lot of fun, you know, getting to play with them. So that's kind of where that has gone, is it's more like, you know, wanting to go see a collection, make a new friend, and, you know, the connections. I kind of have this idea, if I could get my health back on track, I'd like to do like the adventures of a traveling snake photographer and just kind of do like a big trip around the US and kind of just document it and stop at different facilities doing different reptiles. And I'm not a big YouTuber, but, you know, doing little clips, you know,
I
here
mean,
and there.
you're a pretty big YouTuber. You made it over 1,000.
I got
That's
1,700 or
the
something,
top.
but
Yeah, I mean, once you break 1,000, I think you considered in the top 10%.
oh wow,
And then
I should
if
probably
you're
do
able,
something with
yeah,
this.
if you break 10,000 subscribers, I think you're in the top 5%. And once you break 100,000 or more, you're in the top 1% or something like that.
Wow. I
So
just
a lot of people
don't like
don't.
video.
I I don't blame you there. um, I've gotten to the point where I really enjoy these now, and I like bringing people in, and it's kind of like my way to get away without
Right,
getting away.
right.
And with me being a really bad introvert at times, like I love the shows. I absolutely love the shows, but if you ever see me at a show, you'll also see me change my shirt like 3 times throughout one day.
Like you
Because
try to like change so people can't recognize you?
no, it's not that. Like I get the anxiety sweat so
Oh,
bad, like it
I thought
smells
you were
like
like changing it
no.
up. So it's
I
like,
get
hey, wait,
like
I saw John in red. And then you're like, oh, I got to change the shirt so they can't find me now. I'm going to try that
no.
next time.
I carry a backpack with extra shirts because it smells like I came out of a locker room, because when everyone comes in close and I get stuck, my like PTSD and my anxiety kicks in really bad, and I get that sweat, and you just can't get rid of the smell. And then you're looking around, and it's like I feel like someone busted ass or something around me and just didn't say anything, you know. And you're like, oh, that's me. Fuck. Hold on.
Oh,
Hey,
oh,
babe,
that's
watch
funny.
the animals. I'll be right back.
Oh no, see,
But
I can't vend. And for the record, I've never vended Repticon. I'm sorry. I couldn't
no,
resist.
that redheaded chick, I'm pretty sure I saw her vend Repticon one time. Hi.
Okay. No, hey, I will
No
go to
freaking comments
Repticon to
back.
hang out with friends, but I don't vend. I like to go hang out. But it's funny because my husband, he set me up. Like, here's the truth. So in our small town, everybody knows Johnny, right? So I'm just Johnny's wife, which is fabulous because unless I say the magic words, my husband is a vet, I can pretty much escape grocery stores, restaurants, get banks, everything. But if I say those 5 words, I need to go ahead and be prepared for an hour-long conversation because they love my husband so much. And he saw this dog, and I get all the history. Now, Johnny's not so lucky because they recognize him. So I can't take him anywhere with me where I'm like, okay, we'll go order the food and you talk to them, babe, you know? So when we started doing the reptiles, it was my idea. And I was like, I really want to do this. And, you know, I came to him with this plan, like this was, you know, but now we're fully supportive. We're full partners. We work together. We make decisions together. He has a couple projects that he's like, you know, more into, and there's a couple that I'm more into, but, you know, we're still very much involved together. And I'm like, you know, we need to put your face out there more. And he's like, no, babe, no. He says, it's okay. Just let me be the one behind you this time, you know? And he's like, just let it be your face. Then we go to Tinley. And I got to see 2 aisles at Tinley because every few feet, someone recognized me. And I'm still confused because people are like shouting out my name. I'm like, how do you know me? You know? And Johnny got to see the whole thing. Like,
Oh,
he
Lord.
went through every aisle and everything. And he's like, did you see, after we left, he's like, did you see this? I'm like, no. So now I think he played me, because now he gets to walk to the shows uninhibited, and I get to talk to everybody.
Uh,
Not nice. Not nice of him at
I've
all.
had that happen a few times at Arlington. Like, I'll get stuck behind someone's booth talking to them to set up an interview or to look at certain animals that they don't want to show everybody, but they brought
Right.
it to show certain people, and they'll be explaining it out, and my wife will disappear. I'm like, where the heck did she go? And then she'll come back with a bag. Like, where'd you go? What's going on, babe? But
Oh yeah.
it's a lot of fun. But it literally takes me an entire 2 days of the convention to be able to even cover half the convention, unfortunately.
It's so much fun though. I mean, like, if you,
Yeah.
for anybody watching, if you haven't gone, it is so worth it. It is a blast, and meeting people is fun. I'm not complaining about not getting to see Tinley. I am there to see people. I'm just still very humbled and very amazed, like, when people actually recognize me or spot me. And and it's not even just like, hey Brittany, it's like, I love that photo you did of blah blah blah, or how's your snake Vanellope, or that it's just amazing to me. I mean, it gives you all the warm cuddlies.
They're a lot of fun. Like, they really are. I know I sound semi-pessimistic about them, and it's a crowd thing for me, but I absolutely love them. Like, I loved going to both of the super shows in California. I always go to Arlington. I was actually supposed to go to Tinley last fall with Brian Gundy and Earl Jones and Marita, and then it ended up canceling. Like, we had our Airbnb and everything already set up, so we're hoping.
Yeah, we were going last spring. Last spring is when we were going to go, and then it got canceled. And
so we're hoping this year, hopefully Illinois doesn't pass that stuff, and we'll
I
be able to
know
still have shows up there, because that's the one that I really want to go to. I've never been there.
they're fun. I mean, I like the shows, and I like seeing the people. But you're right, it does. I'm one of those people that I'm excited and that kind of thing. But if given the choice, I'm usually at home. Like, if you ask me, hey, you want to go out and do that? I'm like, all right, now I'm good. I mean, I'm nicknamed Grandma because I'm in bed at like 9, and
I'm keeping
so
you up way past your bedtime.
oh, I know, and it just goes downhill from here.
We didn't get a bonnet. We didn't get a nightgown. Like, Johnny's gonna have to go
No,
make some tea or something.
so he'll come in here in a bonnet or nightgown. See, that I'm getting back now. Like, I'm doing a Johnny photo of the day, and I've got so many awesome ones like on my phone now. Everybody is going to come up to him at Tinley next time, and I'm going to fly under the radar. But yeah, it's fun, but it does wipe you out. I mean, Johnny knows, like, our thing, because he's very energetic. He's a very extroverted person, and he like feeds off the energy of people, whereas I get really tired. So as soon as we leave Tinley, I eat a big meal and then lay back in my seat, and he's like, I'll drive us home because I'm out. It takes me like 3 days to pull my energy back together after a show.
That's crazy. So
It's worth it though.
what species did you guys start off with? Was it with ball pythons or was it hognose? I feel
Actually,
like
it
I
was
saw the hognose first.
leopard geckos is where I started.
I'm completely off. It's okay.
I don't talk about the leopard geckos as much. So we started with the leopard geckos, and those things are a lot of work. They are so cute, but man, those things are a lot of work. And from there, we got the hognose. We bought a bunch from JMG and got a pretty cool little program going, like 8 hognose. We've grown a little bit since then, but still a very tiny program. That's not my main focus. I just enjoy, as a photographer, having different things to play with in the studio. And then I enjoy the different genetics and the different behaviors, I mean, the hognose, when you're like, all right, I'm going to open the bin and it's going to come for you, it's kind of exciting. Whereas the ball pythons, most of the time, I'm like, you open the bin and they're like a rock, which is adorable, but it's completely different. So from the hognose, then we went into the ball pythons. Okay. And then we went hard into the ball python. So I have more ball pythons than any other reptile at this point.
And you were one of the ones that kind of got my wife excited because I used to show her like all the little animated hognose pictures, and she's like, "Oh, I really like those. We need one." Unfortunately, and this is so freaking weird, like I cannot get this past, like I can't figure it out because I live in West Texas. I can literally go like 10 minutes outside of my house into the desert, and I can like dig up hognose all freaking
Oh
day.
goodness. Oh
Like
wow.
all day. I can find you Western hognose all day. But if I try to keep one in my house, I can't do it. I
Huh,
can't figure it out. I don't know what's going on.
crazy. Wow. Well, they're fun if you can manage it there. I
I
mean,
love
they're
their attitudes. I get them to like, so I'll get them when they're real little, and I'll keep them for a couple of months. They start picking up, and then I'll start having issues. And I don't know if it's like the feed, because I know they're predominantly like toad and frogs and
mhm,
stuff like that. So it's hard to get them switched over to frozen thawed, which is all I bring in.
right.
So I don't know if it was that, like they'd grab them right away when they were babies, but then they start getting a little bit pickier as they get older. And I'm kind of feeling that's where it went, but I'd always get them pushed out to somebody else that's better with them, because I was just like, and I told my wife, I was like, I love them. They're cute as hell, but I can't bring any more in because I can't
There's
make them thrive.
so far with mine, I found it's almost like there's no middle ground. They are either the best eater and you're never gonna, that's like garbage disposal. They're never gonna miss and they're waiting for the food. Or they're picky, and with those, sometimes they just go on and off. And then other times, eventually they just pick up and then they're fine. But yeah, like the sables, oh my goodness. The sables are like, they just go straight for you. I have a het sable and we laugh because this thing, you have snakes that wait for you, but she springs. So like when you open the bin, as soon as you open it, her mouth is already open, like wide open, and she's just doing this like at whatever she can grab, she's gonna grab. So if you've been on my Instagram, like the last two videos are of her because that's what she grabbed. And what you didn't see in the paper towel video was I was using the paper. I knew she was going to be there. So I was just kind of blocking the front with the paper towels so that I could reach in and get her water, like, like switch and bait kind of thing. And so then I got the water and I pulled the paper towel back and she wasn't there. And I was like, where did she go? Like, where's the snake? And then I look over and she's like hunking on it. And I was like, she's like a little Jack Russell Terrier, just like not letting go. And by the time I stopped recording, she had her face like all the way down inside there. But yeah, she's funny. She eats great. And I'm going to she's sold. I should warn the guy before he opens
Hey,
the
by
bin.
the way, you ready?
Yeah, don't open that one. Now Johnny got one. One of our hognose went to his office, and I wasn't there to open it, and he opened it, and it was dead, and he was panicking. Turns out it wasn't, of course, really dead. It was just played dead, but scared him to death, which I found really funny. I've only had one die on me. Like, I'm saying die, because it didn't really, just for clarification, it didn't really die. But I took it in the studio, and it like was like, and then it's like just rolls over. And so it's completely flat and its mouth just hanging open. So I'm like still photographing because this is hysterical. And it didn't like, I guess, that it still heard the clicking. And it thought it didn't do a good enough job. So then its tongue, like in slow motion, like something off the mask, it just rolled its tongue out and laid it there like, no, I'm really dead. See how dead I'm like this dead. So yeah,
That's one of
I
my
love their
favorite
personality.
things. We had one. So I worked on a ranch, and that's how I'm really able to find them, because I figured out their areas that they live in, right? We had one that was it's probably about 1.5 feet long when we found it. Like we were digging up because we had to fill in holes that the cattle had made, and we ended up digging into its burrow.
Oh wow.
And so I pulled it up, and you just see this thing like flopping everywhere because I freaked it out on the edge of a freaking spade, and everyone's just like, snake, and freaking out, and they're darting every direction, which is hilarious for me.
I
You got a
love
bunch
that.
of cowboys, tough guys, and they see a snake and they dart. But you go, and I finally get it on the ground, and I really thought I was going to drop this thing with the way it was going on the shovel,
Yeah.
but does the exact same thing. Like it just goes flat, and it does that weird wiggle all over the place.
Oh, it's
and
a very dramatic death.
and
It
it
always
just fixes
reminds me
things.
of that scene in The Mask where he gets shot, when like Jim Carrey gets shot, and then he's like, and he's like, he keeps dying and dying and dying. And I'm like, every time I see a hog nose, I think of that scene, and it's like, would you just like get on with it? Like at this point, it's not realistic. You would die faster, but they're great. And saying the thing about the guys, so we had some concrete put outside of our snake building, and you can't tell it's like a snake building from outside. It's just like a building. And I was gone when they started working. I came back, and there's like 4 big, Tennessee redneck dudes. And the one guy goes, ma'am, there's a snake trying to eat your chickens. And I'm like, really? And I'm thinking it might be that we have a black snake that's wild, but we just let him live because he kind of keeps things under control. And I said, where? And so he points, and my husband, every time our snakes shed, he likes to unwrap them and hang them from the trees around our property. So we have like all these, like, we have like a snake skin tree. And so he had saw one of the snake skins on the ground, and he thought it was like this huge snake because it was from one of my big ball pythons. And I don't know what kind of snake. We don't have snakes like that in Tennessee, so I don't know what he thought that we had here. And I said, oh, no. I said, those are just from my snakes. And I said, we breed them. And I pointed to the building. The one guy, like, he's like hands up and out and walks away. They're locked in a building. Like, what are they going to do? The other guy starts laughing. And apparently, when they were like smoothing it, he had backed into the tree, and one of the snake skins that came up over his shoulder. And like, I'm not sure, but I got the impression he might have actually peed himself. And they were not going to ever let him live it down, right? So at this point, they're really creeped out by me, but they're slightly fascinated. So they keep watching me as I'm like doing chores, and they're like, so you breed them? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, okay. And then they're like how many? And like, they keep asking questions. And the guy's like, I would not have taken this job had I known there were snakes on the property. And so in the end, I'm carrying a big box of frozen rats in. And one of the guys looks up at me, thinks he's going to crack a joke. And he says, ma'am, I'd help you carry that, but I'm slightly afraid you might have snakes in that. And I just waved him off. I said, oh, no, it's good. I got it. I said, these are actually just frozen dead rats to feed them. And his face went so pale. I mean, this dude, like, I had so much fun. They didn't come back, by the way. They finished, and I doubt I'll ever be able to hire them again.
That's the fastest contract you've ever had done in your life.
Oh, it was good. It was like one day. I mean, they were here and they were gone, man.
So what all are you working with as far as morphs with your ball pythons? I know you have the Mandarin. I know the NR Mandarin's big. What's that other one? I know you had the Jedi, which I wanted to talk more about because I've never heard of it until I started going through your Facebook today.
All right. So going back to my whole, I love genetics. I have a lot of different things. So we've got, like you said, we've got the Mandarin, we've got Monsoon, Jedi Grim. We're working with Patari, with Randy of Dark Cloud Reptiles, and I got a clutch. Actually, the female is like in blue right now. She's about to do her pre-lay shed, and it's a black pastel cypress yellow belly female to Hatari male. I'm really excited about that clutch. Oh goodness, we've got Trojan, we've got the KMR tri-stripe, we've got the Extremist, we've got tri-stripe, got Trident, Circus, Clowns, MJ Xanthic, TSK Xanthic, lots of like mahogany spot nose, just like those random ones. We got the Stranger.
Like it's nonchalant, not a big deal. Oh. It's okay. I have all these $20,000 snakes. Oh, not a big deal.
I didn't mean for it to sound like that. I was just like, okay. I just meant like, so we've got like a bunch of different like parts and pieces to play with, you know. Just,
No,
that's what we like.
it just cracked me up because I got this, and I'm not really excited. Oh, I'm kind of excited about it, but I have this, and there's this one, and it's okay, and I got a couple of these.
I did that to Billy. Like the first few times I was talking to Billy, and I'm like twinkly star fangirl eyes, and I wanted him to approve of a snake that I had bought, right? And I'm like, so I bought a new girl, and he's like, really? And I said, yeah. And he's like, what is it? I'm like, it was the black pastel cypress yellow belly female, and I'm like, she's just a black pastel cypress yellow belly female. And he sends back and goes, just, and like I didn't catch the sarcasm, and I was like, oh yeah, I mean, like when he's working with that many genes, that ain't that great. And then he calls me, he's like, girl, what is your problem? He's like, oh, it's just. Yeah, I didn't catch the sarcasm in that, but yeah. So I mean, we've got like I said, we've got a lot of pieces and parts that we want to put together and play with. We wanted to put a lot of the darkening genes into the monsoon and kind of see where that went. A lot of my projects kind of revolve around the monsoon and wanting to see how it affects the pattern and play with that.
So are you trying to focus more on the pattern side of genetics, or are you trying to focus on the coloration and like enhancing the colors?
I would say pattern comes first and then color, probably, to me. Okay. I love dirty patterns. So like we have the confusion. I like that pixelated like the chaotic pattern. It's funny. I have a girl, for instance, I have a enhancer G-stripe girl, and she's a beautiful snake, absolutely gorgeous. But I don't love that snake. Like I'm excited about the enhancer project and I'm working her into other projects. But when I post her, people are like, oh, G-stripe, and they love it. And she's pretty. And I'm like, yeah, I know. She's like, but for me, she's so clean. It's just such a clean pattern. And I love the chaos. So for me, I think it's pattern first. And then I like to play with the colors and, the enhancements and things like that. So like Inchi, I love Inchi. If I could like pick a gene that I could just magically pop into all my snakes, it would probably be Inchi. I just think it's just such a great gene.
And then you're not just doing hognose and balls anymore. You just recently got into boas. So what made the switch from like decent manageable snakes? Not that a boa is not manageable, but that's a pretty big size difference.
Don't tell my husband that. He thinks you're gonna be little.
Sorry, Johnny.
Yeah, he came in from work the other day. I'll tell you this. Hang on. So the reason we ended up with boas is, again, I'm really happy with my ball python collection. Not that I'm not like, I keep an eye out for something new or, something that I'm interested in working with. Yeah, that's actually true. I can't get enough. But I'm pretty happy with like my projects I have. I need a lot of holdbacks. Like I tried to do a video the other day of like, these are my ball python collection. And as I went through my holdback, it was like, and a normal, and another normal, and another normal. And it's like, okay, I know that one's a triple het, but it just kind of looks like a pretty normal, It was not a very exciting video, so I haven't posted it yet. But so for me, I'm happy with those. I'm happy with the projects and where those are going. But I still have that I want to play with something, and I enjoy learning the new behaviors. I enjoy the different, the different animals. And I wanted a retic really bad. I've wanted one for several years, and Donnie's like, no, that is a big snake. We don't need a big snake. And I was like, oh, come on, babe, just like 4, I mean, that's reasonable, right? Because like, I mean, he knows. It's never like, hey, honey, can I have 1? It's like either 2 or like 5. There's no 1 with anything that I ask him for. And so I had him on like the Morph Market wish list. And he's like, babe, these get too big. And he's like, this is a lot of snake. And, I just don't think this is a good idea. I started looking at the boas, which are smaller than, a retic or a berm. Yeah, exactly. That's the key word. And that's how I sold them. significantly smaller than a retic or burr. And he's like, oh, okay. And I start showing him the colors, and he wasn't as into them at first, but he's like, yeah, sure, baby, if you want some of those. And again, it went from, hey, could I get like 2 to now I have 9. And he's like, okay, sure. So the other day he saw a picture on Facebook of some dude in one of the groups saying, hey, check out my big, beautiful one. And, technically boas don't like stop growing. They kind of just forever and ever. So when you get the occasional person that posts their really old one, it's a very big snake. And Johnny comes in and he looks at me and he said, you said these were smaller. And I'm like, oh, yeah, they are. And he's like, but I saw this photo. And I'm like, yeah, that cuts. Well, see, there's a technicality and they don't technically stop growing. And he's just staring at me like, are you serious, Brittney? And he's like, what? We bought cages for them. Like, what are you talking about? And he's like, what are you going to feed it? I'm like, it's okay. That's a ways down the road and we'll worry about it then. Because, by then I could maybe talk him into letting me breed rabbits again or something,
You're going to have to get there at one point.
Well, no, see, I bred rabbits and I asked for 2 and then I had 22. And so now I would love to have another rabbit, but he knows where that will end up. So I'm on like a rabbit ban at the moment. But yeah. So anyway,
right,
that's
guys,
how we ended up with the boas.
Petition Johnny right now. Lift the ban on Brittney's rabbits.
Oh yeah, I go to the pet store whenever I have to get mice, and they know me there. And I'll go in and whatever rabbit, I take a picture and I text it to Johnny and I give it some stupid name. Like, this is Barnabas the Destroyer. And I'm like, he's so cute and you're just going to love him. He's so snuggly. And then he'll be like, how are you going to cook him tonight? And I'm like, we're cooking him. He's family. And so then the next week I'll take a different picture and I'll be like, look, this one has like whiskers. His name is Seamus and he can't wait to meet you. And like every week, he's not a fan. My poor husband.
There are super dwarfs. You got the high locality now. You have some that don't even really get bigger than ball pythons. So
you hear that, Johnny?
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. There you go. That's how you get your retic, Brittney.
Yeah, exactly. Just like that. What are you talking about? That's just a boa. That's ain't no retic. I have 3 rainbows coming too.
Oh, wow.
I'm excited about those.
Those are pretty. The one thing I have, that's like my biggest vendetta against snakes, though, is the rainbow boas.
Really?
So when I was 14, I got my first job around animals, and I worked in a little pet store where I grew up. And we had these teenagers that were older than me. They came in and they tried to steal our only rainbow boa. Like, they put it in their pocket. We caught them and they flung it. And
oh my goodness!
It took us a little over a month to find this snake. And then
wow.
Once we finally found it, because we had a shipment of rats come in, and it came out for the center rats. So we got it. We put it back in its enclosure and all that. Everything's good. It's getting back to normal, feeding right. And obviously, if it's feeding, it's defecating. And if it's defecating, you got to clean it. So I hand it off to one of my buddies, and that's working there. And I start cleaning its enclosure, and I get it to come back. And it's still a little persnickety, to say the best.
Yeah.
And it catches me right in the web and holds on and just like starts lashing everywhere. So, the worst bite I've ever had in my whole life. And I've been bit by smaller retics. I've been bit by a Colombian boa. Like, I've had some stupid bites because I didn't know any better, nothing hot, nothing that I have to worry about, but
right.
By far the worst bite I've ever taken in my life.
Oh my goodness.
Just because it was right there and it was like right on the nerve. So it just shot all the way up.
I took a cat bite there, a nasty cat bite there. That, you're right. And it takes so long for that spot to heal. Like, the pain in that area persists. I mean, I think it was probably like 7 months where I would like move my thumb and it would still send like pain because actually one of the cat's teeth had went like into my bone because I was trying to pet something I shouldn't. It's funny that like though I bred cats for over a decade and never once did anybody ever say, you really, aren't you afraid of being bit? You should really be careful. Never once. And even with the African servals, which, if you know an African serval, those are big cats. Nope. Nobody ever asked me if I was scared or worried. Do you know how many times you get asked that when you breed snakes? It's ridiculous. And it's like a snake bite. I mean, you can get a nasty one. I'm not like downplaying it. But for the most part, you get a snake bite, you wash, you go on. It's no big deal. I mean, you get a cat bite, and I mean, I have had so many cat breeder friends hospitalized with major multiple surgeries and everything because they didn't take it seriously. And yeah, so it kind of amuses me. But a rainbow was my second snake I ever owned. And then Johnny accidentally let it loose, and I won't let him live that down.
He's paying for it now. It's okay.
Oh, he still is. I mean, it's been like, oh yeah, I got an upgrade this time. No, it was the second snake, and he had two snakes, and I had one, and I had gotten over my fear of snakes because I was terrified of snakes. And I fell in love with the rainbow boa, and I took him to a nice dinner, and he had a nice report, and I was like, hey babe, I'd really like another snake, and he's like, I am not taking care of it. You get another snake, you take care of it. I'm like, I'll do it. So I took care of it. And I got pregnant, and I was 6 months pregnant, and I wasn't feeling well. And he said, don't get up. I'll feed it tonight for you. This is an exception. Don't get used to it, but I'll feed it for you tonight. And he fed her, and he didn't lock the lid all the way back. And so the next morning, she's of course gone, and we never see her again. I have no idea where she went. And so it's been like 11, 12 years or something. I still like to bring it up occasionally. But now we've bought 3, so I guess I can forgive him now.
I'm trying hard not to say. I understand that poor man's feelings because, so me and my wife we're at almost 6 years together now, and there's still stuff from day one. She still gets me on. She's like, "You remember that time?" Like, no. How do you remember it? I thought I made up for this. We leave the past in the past right now.
Oh no, see he lucks out on this. My husband, like when I married Mr. Right, I had no idea his first name was Always. And I can absolutely say that. My husband is always right. That's why I won't let him live this down. It's because we've been together 15 years. In 15 years, there's been like 2 things that he was wrong about. So I am absolutely going to rub those 2 things in. Because I mean, he's got like 15 years of stuff I've messed up on, which is plenty. But yeah, so these 2, no. The 2 things I got on him, I'm keeping them.
Oh, so it's just those, well, you're bringing in the Brazilians. So you're going to have 4 different species, or do you have more?
4 different species? No. 4 different species that we're working as far as like a working a project. Okay. So, I have like a plan with what I want to do with the rainbows, the boas, the balls, and the Western hognose. I do have a pair of Baroni, the Baron's racers. Mm-hmm. We got a pair of, they're supposed to be the blue racers, but he says they get blue as they age. And the mom is like, she looks like she should be venomous. Like, how you that color is like, oh, that can only be in a venomous snake.
It's a really bright color. Yeah, that's a venomous
snake. Yeah. That's how the mom is in all the photos of her. And so we got a pair of those, but I don't have a project in mind. I just, once they're up to size at some point, I'll have a clutch occasionally from them. But again, not an actual project. Just the 4 are the ones that I'm kind of, those are my loves.
Are you gonna ever look at hots, or is that something that is completely nixed from the Gobble household?
Okay, so Tennessee kind of sucks. We can't own anything that can technically eat us or kill us. That's just kind of like the rule. And I think we could own some, but you have to jump through so many hoops. It's unreal. Or we did think, like Johnny thought this was a great idea. We could just claim it's our religion and just roll with that, you know? Like, I grew up in a cult, so it wouldn't be that hard to be like, I have the background, you know? Now we just handle snakes too. But yeah, so we can't really do the hots in our area. But it looks like I could make an alligator work.
That doesn't make
It's a lot of
sense to me.
rules.
It doesn't
No,
make
no,
sense
no.
to me though.
It's a lot of rules. But I think that the way it's written, I could probably end up with one.
So you can work snake, or you can't work snakes that are venomous or that can kill you, but you can work crocodilians that would do more damage.
No, no, no. Technically,
Or
you can't
just
have them.
alligator.
No, it's like all of them we can't have. Like, I can't have an ostrich either, which is a major disappointment. Like, you have no idea. That was like a real letdown. But the way the rules are written, if you do all this extra work and get licensed as like exhibition facility. I mean, we've been USDA licensed before. We had to be when we bred servals and stuff. But like, if you get those different class licenses and they approve you, which is give or take, it depends kind of like on if they like you or not and what your plan is and blah, blah, blah. There is like, you could kind of make it work. Some people do. I just don't know that I want to jump through that much red tape, if that makes sense.
Right. Huh.
And it's kind of funny because Tennessee's stupid and the rules crack me up. Technically, it doesn't say we can't own venomous. It says we can't own poisonous.
Well, then you're good as long as you don't bring in a coral snake.
Right? Like, I mean, like, I'm not going to eat them. So, you know, I mean, I'm kind of disappointed. If you're going to have somebody write the paperwork, shouldn't they actually know the correct terms?
It's too good. Next in Gobbles Reptiles, we have a breeding section for alligators.
Oh, but it had to be albino. I'm in love with the albinos.
Mm.
Can you read this one?
Hold
Okay.
So going on to YouTube, you said you don't do a lot of videos yet, even though you've kind of built a following. Well, you didn't kind of build a following. You're like almost double what I am. So you built your following, ma'am. But what's your, I know you've been putting videos out here and there recently. What's your normal output for videos? Are you trying to do weekly, monthly, or just whenever they seem to come together?
It's kind of guilt-based. So I don't really love being on camera. I like being behind the camera. And I watch YouTube, and I've watched a lot of YouTube over the years. So I understand, I mean, you need a face, you need a personality, I understand what needs to be done. I just prefer to be behind the camera. I don't find as much joy in doing videos or editing videos. And then because I live in the sticks where we only get dial-up internet or a hotspot off our phone, it takes forever to upload anything. And then if for some reason your connection goes down, you have to start all over again. And unless you've like experienced that, where you've like waited 9 hours and then start over, you don't know the heartbreak. So I get a little frustrated. But then, I have a lot of friends that are very encouraging. And they're like, I'll see Cusco and Miguel, and they're at the show, and they're like, Brittney, we told you, like, where's your videos? Then I'm like, okay, you're right. I'll try again. So I think it went like a year without an update. And then recently I was trying to do an every other week thing. And again, life just kind of hit. So I think I need to make a realistic goal of like once a month and then build up from there. I have a lot of ideas of things I would like to post and talk about. And I would really like to make it heavily photography based. I would like to do a lot of like, this is how I did this setup. I bought the software that records my screen to show me editing. So I can kind of show, a lot of people don't realize that your cameras and your cell phones have a built-in filter. So you hashtag it no filter. Yeah, there's actually your camera did it for you. Or they take it and they're using good equipment, but cameras can't catch what the human eye can, which means your photos look flat. And it's not like you did it wrong, you did it right, but you have to, there's a trick to editing where you're not making the animal look better than it should look in real life. That's not the goal. You want what the person sees to catch the eye. You want the animal to pop. And there's a little more than just like clicking the button. So I kind of like to do like start to finish. So like, you know, this is a setup I did. Here's some edited images and how I kind of went about it, and kind of just do more of that. But again, and then every time I do a video, like something stupid happens. So like one video I was talking and I swallowed a fly and I choked and gagged and it was terrible. And then another video I took, you know, ball pythons are pretty clear when they're going to bite you. Like you can tell a stripe, you know. I mean, this ball python just bites me, and there was no trigger. There was nothing. She just randomly like looked at me and nailed me in the video, and which made for cool slow-mo, but still it was a little distracting. And then the video I'm working on now, the one like I did a tour of our current snake house and all the snakes because people keep asking about that. I'm doing the intro, and it takes a lot of energy to do the intro. And then if you mess it up and you have to do it again, you don't sound sincere the second time around because it's like now you've rehearsed it. I go back to rewatch it, and Johnny walks into the background, and I guess he didn't know that like I was like wide angle and he was in it. So he just randomly walks in the background and he's just standing there behind me like this. Like doing nothing, like just staring at the wall. And then he just turns around and walks back out of the frame. Like just weird, like so weird. And I'm like, now I have to leave it in, because if I reshoot it, you're all going to be like, how did her hair and shirt and clothing change from the intro to the exit, you know? So I get frustrated because every time I do a video, there's like something happens that's not supposed to.
No, I 100% feel that. I have probably like 7 or 8 freaking videos that I've shot recently that I don't think they'll ever make it up, because I've either had to reshoot a scene for it like 4 or 5 times, and I can't get what I want on camera, or you hear one of the kids in the background, or like a snake freaking rips one like in the middle of me talking, and I'm just like, what? And it distracts you, or like
Always.
the smell hits you in the face, or something happens. And but that's the fun of it. Like you have to enjoy that aspect of it. And I hear what you're saying. I prefer being behind the camera myself. I had a really bad tick when I first got out of the Army, right? And I wasn't able to talk to people. Like, I've said this a lot of times, but I kind of reset, kind of like when we were talking earlier, and it took me a moment. Like, I had to get my brain going again, but it was really bad. Like, you would straight see no expression on my face, nothing. Like, it was straight, someone hit the reboot button on my, and so getting in front of the camera and having to work through whatever was going on around me really helped bring out my personality again. Not that I have that much of one. Like, I giggle and freaking have fun, but it is
I've got to stop being a perfectionist.
Very monotone.
I think for me, like, I have this expectation, like I need to do it to this level, and I would probably be better off at this point just to get used to it, just recording it on my cell phone and uploading it and just rolling with it and getting myself used to just putting, like, let's just do it and put it up, because then I overthink it and it's like, yeah, maybe this didn't, or maybe I think that would probably be better, but I know it's something I need to work on. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I want to talk about Xerxes, if we can, for a second.
My cow!
Yes, I finally found the picture of him after you talked about him. And when I saw the picture, all I could think about was Ferdinand. And how goofy he is off of that movie. And do you guys do you actually shave them to where like their bangs are right there, or it just naturally grows that way?
All natural. He's still a baby. So he was born, let's see, I guess he'll be a year old in a few months. So he's still like, you can see his horns are only like this long, you know, up there. His Scottish Highland, they're going to be the full horns. So he's still kind of shaggy. And in Tennessee, because of our climate, they don't get as hairy as they do in the colder areas. So he kind of, I call it his skater boy. He's got that skater boy hair going on, you know, and he can't see anything. He's not lying.
Well, then his horns aren't even gonna get that big, because you do that what? Like 18 months, 20 months, something like that for the meat.
Yeah, you want to wait at least 2 years on a Scottish Highland. They grow slower. So the Scottish Highland, and there's a chance that, you know, please don't start a petition. There's a chance Xerxes could not be on the dinner table. It kind of depends. So when we got the cows, I actually have 2 cows. I just don't post the other one. One is a half Jersey, half Scottish. And then I have him, and he's a full Scottish Highland. And originally I wanted to breed them because we do like our own beef. We like knowing where our meat comes from. It's a lot better than the stuff that you buy at the store. So we typically will split a beef with somebody. I just never raise it. I never have to look it in the eyes. But we thought, oh, this would be fun, you know, kind of, you know, small homestead hobby farm kind of thing. And I worked so hard. I went to this farm like every day in the middle of nowhere. And I'm talking like banjo playing boondocks is where I had to go. I mean, my tire on my truck got shot out when I went to visit the cow one day. That's how like scary this area is. So every day to feed them and play with them and tame them down. And the Jersey is insane. Like this cow is crazy. And so because she runs, he runs. But if like when she just goes off and does her own thing, he'll come to me and he's like all up in my face and like the goats, you know. But because she's a Jersey, she gets 8 next year. So once she gets eaten, if he gets very sweet, like a pet, like it was originally kind of the idea, you know, he might get to stay. But if he's still going to be skittish, you know, you don't really want a full-grown intact bull that's going to be skittish. But he's adorable. I love him. It's just, he's, again, I mean, livestock are big and you do have to be aware. And with all the mud we're having, like they get excited when I bring grain. So they'll start like kind of hopping around me. And I have health issues that make me a little bit shaky right now.
Right.
So I have to be very careful with my footing because if I go down with a grain bucket, they're going to be on top of me. So it's just one of, you know, that's one of those things that I've got to make sure that whatever large animals I have are very family safe.
No, that 100% makes sense. You stated a facility earlier. Sorry, I'm jumping back and forth. We're going back
you're good.
to reptiles now. You stated a facility earlier. Did you build a building just for your reptiles on your property, or are you working it out of the house, or how are you guys attacking that right now?
We started, I have a loft in my living room. Our house is a single-story rancher. And I had a loft, and the loft, it stays warmer than the rest of the house. So originally my reptiles were up there. And then that was when we were still breeding the cats. We actually had a house with its own heating and air and skylights and windows and all that stuff that we built specifically for the cats. Because you can't have a male tomcat running around breeding whatever when they're not old enough. And, you know, it helps with the health of the animals. Once we stopped breeding cats, we converted that. And that's what we call our snake house now. And so we have all the reptiles, pretty much all the reptiles down there except a few. Like I have a couple pet geckos, and then we have the racers, and we have a few in the house. So it's not a very big building. And we're pretty much at capacity. We could like fit like one more rack in there. But we just added 3 acres, a little over 3 acres, and it had a block building on it. And the man had originally built it to be a small house. And we said, okay, well, we don't just want it to sit there. And so we're converting that into the reptile and the rodent building right now. So we're dividing it. Because right now I raise my rodents. I have gerbils, ASF mice, and rats. And most are raised in the barn. And, you know, when it gets really hot or really cold, they're just not going to breed as well.
Right.
And that can be a problem because a lot of times that's when you need them. So we put up a wall is what we're building in the new facility right now so that the rats can be inside and it'll be on a heating and air system as well to hopefully kind of keep that production nice and steady where we need it. And then the rest of the building, we'll have the room for the boas and a couple more ball racks. I need some hatchling racks. Right now, my incubator is a refrigerator that we fixed, which has worked wonderfully. But we're gonna have like a walk-in closet with a glass door, which is great because I can't see through my refrigerator. So I kind of just want to be like the kid at the candy store, like with my face pressed up
you're
against it
doing
all the
like
time.
you mean a refrigerator like the old white ones or the black ones where you can't see through it?
Oh yeah, mine's an actual
Oh,
refrigerator that like we converted. And it, like I said, it's worked beautifully. Absolutely. It's cheap to make, because we didn't need the elements in it. So we just got an old one. And we haven't had any problems with that. But again, you have to open it every time you want to see if somebody's pipping or if they're out now, because, of course, once they start coming out, then you want to check like every 10 minutes, like, are they out now? So that's going to be cool to be able to have the glass so that I can see what's going on. And that'll also give me more room because, as we grow, I got a lot of grow ups right now, but in a couple of years, I'm not going to have enough space for all my, if everybody laid, I wouldn't have enough space. Right. And then it's also kind of cool because I'm going to have a little studio section, which is nice because right now my studio's in the loft. And like I said a few minutes ago, it's a lot warmer up there, which means it's like by the time you turn on those studio lights and you're working with the animals and you're going up and down the stairs, it's like to do a clutch of snakes just to take their photos. And I'm like, I'm sweaty and yeah, I need to change like into 4 different shirts, like you said earlier. It's going to be cool to have it where I don't have to go up and down stairs to take the photos.
I think that sounds smart to me. I wouldn't even want to do it. Like I would hate to have to drag animals back and forth upstairs, but that's just me.
Yeah. And I know it's just laziness. Like, it's not even that far. It's just like I have to go around the side of the house and then I have to go up the stairs and then I have to go around the side of the house. And, it's just a pain because you can't take that many up there because if you've ever pulled out multiple bins of baby snakes, they all get out at the same time. There's like no in between. They're either balls and they don't move or they're all over the place. And then you risk the numbers not being, like matching it. So you have to do them like one at a time. So it's going to be nice to have like a dedicated space for taking the the photographs. And I'm excited too because we're doing like it's a crazy green color right now. Like all the neighbors, I've messed with everybody's heads because I did it in like one afternoon. That's kind of how I am. Johnny gets afraid. If I don't answer the phone for 4 hours, that's like the line. And at that point, whenever I do answer, he goes, "What did you do?" And I'm like, "What do you mean, what did I do?" And he's like, "You didn't answer me for 4 hours and now you're being vague. What did you do?" And he's like, "You've either repainted the entire house or, like it's always something that I've done." So, because I'm like, "Yes, let's do this and let's do it now." So that's what I did. I went to Home Depot and I bought the paint that morning and I painted the building that day. And I was like, I had painted the kids' rollers and I'm like, free labor. So the neighbors go from one day it's a gray block building to the next day it is an in-your-face mint green, like sherbet color. And so I talked to one of the neighbors the other day and I'm like, "Yeah, we bought that." He's like, "Oh, you're all the ones that live on the hill." And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "We just bought that property too." And he goes, "Yeah." He says, I went outside and he said, and I looked up there and I was thinking to myself, I don't think that building was always that green. Was it? and we were like, "Yeah, sure, it has always been that green." No. Eventually it's going to be cool though. I'm actually doing a mural and the mural is going to wrap around the entire building. That's the goal. Now it could end up looking like a kindergartner did it, or maybe it'll be cool. We'll see. You'll only see it if it looks cool. If it looks like a kindergartner did it, then you're just going to see like a picture and it'll be a nice normal color and you'll be like, "We wonder what's under that."
Well, Miss Brittney, I've had you on for a little over an hour. I'm going to jump into kind of a speed round real quick.
All right.
And let you take it, and then we'll start closing up. So if you could keep one species and only one species of snakes, what would it be and why?
Ball pythons. I love the balls. I mean, personalities, yeah, they can be like rocks, but it's a nice snake. It's a snake that you can generally just hand to a child and you don't have to worry about it. And right now, no other snake compares to them as far as the number of colors and patterns and morphs and the excitement. And I know the ball python community, that sometimes they get called pansies, but you know, I mean, the ball python community is amazing.
Who created the best animal to you last year?
Okay, so my favorite animal from last year would be what do you call it? The Wookiees that Justin made. Like everybody knows. Like they had the orange circles.
The
I got the photograph.
GHI Wookiee.
Yeah. Like so many genes that, you know, you can't even name them all. But I can tell you guys, I got to see them in person, and they are 10 times better in person than the videos or the pictures. And those animals are just incredible. And I'm not even a Wookiee fan. I have one, but because Johnny loves Wookiee. It's not my favorite gene. Not bashing it. It's just not my favorite. But oh man, those snakes. I pulled them out like 3 times when I was at his facility to take photos on different sets because I didn't want to put them up.
Okay, if you had, or outside of snakes, and I guess we're gonna have to say photography too now because photography is a big part of your life. What's one hobby that you enjoy the most?
Outside of snakes and photography. I really enjoy artwork. I enjoy painting, you know, my little whimsical things. So I would say probably that hobby would probably be the one I picked.
Awesome. And then aside from yourself, which I mean, you could do like a self-love thing right now. There's nothing wrong with that.
That sounds creepy.
Your favorite? I was being... there's a lot of that's what she said moments tonight, and I was trying really hard.
Oh, you've been good. You've been good. Like I'm bad about like not keeping a straight face.
Who is your favorite female in the industry right now?
Oh, you're gonna make me pick? No, you can't.
And you can completely cop out and just say yourself. That's why I said if you want to do the self-love.
Oh, now you made it tempting because you know girls are mean. I still want to sit at their table. So, like, you know, I can't be like, pick women. What did your wife say? I like whatever she
didn't
said.
Say.
Girls are mean.
Yeah. She's like, girls are mean. I was thinking like, what was it? What the hell is that movie?
Mean Girls.
Mean Girls.
Yeah. You can't sit with us.
That's what I'm saying.
On Tuesday we wear pink. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You're gonna make me pick, and then you're gonna see me at Tinley, and all the girls are gonna be together, and I'll be by myself, and it will be your fault.
No. I just force my way in. I'm shy at first, and then I just start talking, and I don't shut up.
Although she's saying at the shows, she's gonna have to sit by herself at tables now because I made her pick a female.
Okay.
By the way, my wife really liked the way you.
Her stickers on my guitar.
Yeah, she loves your stickers.
I love art.
I had to fight to even put one on my incubator. She loved the way you cut up Chris's shirt because she does the same thing. I don't know if you saw her when she walked by, but
I didn't get to see
every
that.
freaking T-shirt that she has, she started cutting up because she's really artsy and likes to do crafts.
And hey, they look boxy. I mean, guys' shirts are comfy, but on a girl, they can be a little boxy. So, yeah, it was fun. But I don't know if he's gonna let me live that down. He's like, you got a shirt, and then you cut it up. I'm like, I bought it. I can cut it.
Right? You're allowed to do whatever you want.
Shirts that you told me I can't cut though.
That's true because those shirts are like half your age.
But I want.
That sounds really bad.
I want to cut them.
I've had shirts from when I was still in high school. I was like, well, I've gained my dad body, and so they went to my wife, and like you can't cut these. They have too many memories.
The sugar skull one?
I wish I had that problem. You know, Johnny's older than me. So when we got married, he still wore his clothes from the 80s. And I am not actually joking. So I threw my mom always said, oh, I'm just turning 21. So she always threw a 21 party, and she turned 21 in the 80s. So I threw her an 80s themed birthday party. And I told everybody they better show up in 80s clothes. And Johnny just got stuff out of his closet that he wears. And everybody at the party was like, oh, yours are so authentic. Like, you know, where did you go? Like, I was looking all through Goodwill and this was the best I could find. And he's like, it's just my closet. And I'm like, and he looked at me, and now, of course, he's like, and babe, look, it's all back in style. And I'm like, it really, no, babe. But.
Brittney, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, wait, I got it. Wait, I got it.
No,
I got my favorite girl. My favorite girl. And I hope they see it. Zach. He was the cute, he was the cute girl. And we all know it. The hottest one.
There you go, Zach Attack. You're the cutest girl in the group. Brittney, where can everybody find you?
Gobbles Reptiles. Pretty much Gobbles Reptiles, Instagram, Facebook, and you just want to see general photography. It's kittens and captures, and captures has a K. That's on Instagram. And then on YouTube, I'm here. I was kind of hoping he would see this when I wasn't live, like later. And then on YouTube, it's Brittney Gobble Photography.
Okay. Wasn't there a Gobble Up Life at one point too?
I do have Gobble. Okay, I have like 8 Instagram accounts. If I'm honest, I just pick a couple randomly every interview. I'm like, I just picked 2. I'm like, oh, that's the 2 I'm going to talk about. Yeah, Gobble Up Life is kind of the farm stuff. It's like more random. So it has the cows and the dogs and just random stuff that doesn't fit on the photography, because I try to keep that dedicated to kind of, you know, images for my portfolio. And then Reptiles is dedicated mostly to the reptiles, and, you know, Johnny doing things like stripping and rain and stuff like that.
Running in the back in dresses. I really thought I was going to get him to do it again. I was waiting.
I'm so thankful. You have no idea right now.
All right, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this. Make sure you give Brittney some love. Amazing woman, does so many different things. I'm really happy to start off this month focused on someone that, like I said, is very multifaceted. Next week, we are going to have Precious from Precious Pythons on. So I hope you tune in for that. Y'all have a great night and stay blessed.
Bye.